broadcast. That's my bad. Um, but anyway, I was just talking about the sort of men-women dynamic, and so for me, I think about that a lot and think like I don't want to be that guy that's making women uncomfortable and anxious and stuff by approaching them. Because no one wants to be that guy. Um, and I have to recognize that while I know my intentions are solid, they don't know that, right? And there's no way to really prove like immediately on the spot that I'm just like a safe person. So I'm just in a place where I'm trying to figure out like what are good social scenarios, where are places I can go that sort of cold approach. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the cold approach. Like it would certainly be more comfortable to have a better approach, but still, what are environments where that's going to be more acceptable to be trying to ask out women on dates and like being forward and specifically romantic about it and not being in that wishy-washy friend zone area because no one wants to be there. Um, yeah, it's difficult. So I've been trying to do some research and figure out where are places I can go, and it just feels like where I live and with the interests I have, it just there's nowhere that seems like a natural correct answer. Because my interests are basically like, you know, philosophy, politics, guns, and men's clothing. Like I have like very specific interests, and I don't know. And I think that maybe in some places it would be easier to you know to find people with shared interests. But like I'm looking into them, like I was looking up gun clubs near me, right, and that sort of thing, and it's like there's not a lot of options, and the ones that exist they just don't seem like the place I'm gonna find young like-minded women, right? It's all gonna be probably boomers and fuds and maybe a couple guys like me, but probably not a lot of women, I would imagine. And the same thing I looked at like my local Republican Party website, and I was thinking like, yeah, but it's the politics isn't just going to be like a social club, like it's all volunteering and door knocking and stuff like that. Um, which is worth looking into. Like I probably should look into being more politically involved if that's something that I'm gonna be doing as a career someday. I've always been, I'm interested in politics, and that's something I want to pursue further. So, and I think there's probably not a lot of young people, especially on the Republican side, that are actually getting up and doing stuff, that are helping with, door knocking or whatever, volunteering capabilities might be out there. Especially where I live, it's a very weird culture where I mean, we're pretty split in this area. There is like a good amount of, conservative and Republican leaning people, but it's just like a culture that doesn't talk about politics very much because there's such a split. And I think that generally, when you're in a place that doesn't, where politics is like a semi taboo topic, it ends up being kind of liberal dominated, because like those are the narratives that are kind of pushed on all the mainstream. And so then everyone, even conservatives, kind of default to like liberal frames of mind just to be like socially acceptable and normative. It's a whole thing. I Back on the women thing though. One thing that always comes up is like church, right? People are always like, go to church, you'll meet good girls there. Man, I've been going to church 2 years. I've been on it, which not as long as some people are. Some people are raised in churches, right? But I wasn't, and so I joined a church 2 years ago, and I've been going consistent, steady, strong, and it just hasn't worked out for me. Like we have a young adult group there and everything that's like totally focused on like basically the whole idea is for young people to meet so they can date and get married, right? Um, And in my area, it's just so small, and there's so few people that are really interested in that nothing really happens. So it's hard, and yeah, that's been my experience with it. Um, yeah, like in my, I mean, there were times where I could have been more forward with certain gals, and I could have thought about different things. But in my time in the church, my beliefs have changed, and I've gone back and forth on whether I was even interested in dating at that time, and all that stuff. And I think that that's part of what held me back is that I was in a place where it's like, oh, I'm not dating right now, or I'm holding out for this one specific girl that I think is gonna work out, and um, it didn't. And I think that's one of the blunders, the early blunders of when you're first joining a church, when you're first building your faith, is if you're someone like me who's like a deeply romantic person, you're gonna you're going to you're going to unintentionally intertwine your romantic interest with your faith, and then that's really complicated because you end up thinking that you're seeing signs or having prayers answered or whatever, and you're like, okay, I gotta really focus on committing to this one girl who may not even like me, you know. Which I mean, not everyone is like me, but that's the type of person I am. So that's the blunder I fell into for a long time of being like, oh well, if I just have faith and stay consistent and all those things, then it'll all work out, right? And what I realized was that I was so laser focused on this one result I wanted to achieve, was this one specific girl, that I passed up a lot of other opportunities for dates and relationships that I could have had in the meantime. And yeah, it gets difficult. And now the point I'm at with it is that our social group there is pretty small, and I've got a reputation, like not a bad one or anything, but I've been there 2 years and I'm sort of well established in the group, and there's all these complicated social dynamics that remind me a lot of like stereotypical like high school, where there's like cliques and gossip and stuff, and you're like, what is going on here? Like, I thought we were adults. I thought we were, I thought we believed in Christ, and we're adults, and we have these spiritual principles and whatnot, and people just don't really. That's the other thing you find out is that no matter how good of a belief framework people are in, people are still flawed. People are still fundamentally bad. And so you can get people that are on average by and large like better than general population by subjecting them to like a more morally upstanding like rule set. But that's not going to weed out all of the bad behaviors and all of the negative stuff, especially lesser things like gossip, right? Like gossip and drama are not like these crazy huge sins and vices that you see out in the rest of the world, right? But they are in that like moderate middle area where they're bad, like you shouldn't be doing them, but they're not so bad that you know, they're totally eradicated, right? Whereas like I'm grateful for the church for sure because like my ability to join that group and meet people who still weed out like 90% of the terrible stuff, right? All the drugs and the drinking and the alcohol. The drinking and the alcohol. Man, I'm tired. No, but like the stupid stuff that young people do that I'm definitely not interested in, the drugs and the smoking, the drinking and all that, and the hooking up and the and all that stuff. Like, sure, there's a few people in the church group that have premarital sex, but they're not hooking up. Like that. That's what I like about it. Is it sort of shifts the, and to borrow a term from politics, the Overton window, so to speak. It's like a moral Overton window, sort of, where in the broader world, there's this huge window of activities, in a moral sense of like how good they are and what's acceptable and what's not, right? And it's this big, wide open window where there's a little, there's a little fringe around the edge where like you're outside the window, you shouldn't be doing that, right? Things that are um, serious criminal offenses, murder and rape and those, sorts of terrible things are still socially frowned upon. But like generally anything goes. You get all these people who live their lives and doing these, hookups and drugs and partying and all the stuff I talk about. And, you know, you get all those people. And when you join the church, and like my experience is that it does, close that window quite a bit, right? Like you still cut off a whole chunk of that terrible behavior and you narrow it down to a more manageable window of behaviors that is overall more moral and more good than the larger window would have been, right? But it still includes bad behaviors, right? It's just like the the group the group is just composed differently, right? Like yeah, it's like because the principles are believed in. That's the thing about having principles, right? Is that everyone has principles, but it's like how strong are those principles and what specifically are they and how do you apply them? That's what determines your outcome, right? And so like, everyone has some sort of principles regarding like sexual morality, right? But it's such a broad spectrum between people whose only belief about sexual morality is like consent, right? Which is good, right? Like consent, you need that, right? But it's kind of, I would say that's like such a low bar, bare minimum for your personal moral compass that it doesn't really pass, you know? Like, like but yeah, you ask anyone, the most sex positive people and all those freaks, they still will agree baseline that consent is important, right? But then you come a step up from that and you get people who, believe in more things like emotional connection and those things, and people who believe in more commitment and yada yada, and it goes up and up and up. And so until you get to like the far end of people who are, who would be like, yeah, no sex until marriage, or like, I could imagine there even being a few people out there who are like, straight up, monks who are just like no sex ever. But that's the Overton window on our society is so far left that those people are like non-existent. But anyway, what I was saying is that, when you go into the church, that window gets smaller, and you're looking at, you're cutting off all those people who those people whose, you know, beliefs about sexual morality are like, um, are just consent or whatever, right? Like, those people are no longer in the group. The bar is a little higher for what your beliefs are, and then how you apply those beliefs, right? Or like, generally the bar in the church is really high. It's like we don't believe in sex before marriage at all, and so most people don't. But then how you apply that belief is like, okay, like what level of loopholes are you willing to do once you're, in a relationship? And then like how much control are you going to have over yourself? And then, it's a slippery slope where I've definitely seen some people and people that I'm close to and people that I respect, um, do things that I don't respect and that they themselves don't believe in, but they just get to that point in their relationship where they haven't done the work to put the stops in place to make sure it doesn't happen, so it just does happen, right? And so you still get a whole range of acts, because that's the thing, is that your actions, generally speaking, anyone's actions are always less virtuous than their values, right? Like that's pretty much how it always is. That's actually that's like a nugget of wisdom right there. Your actions will always be less virtuous than your values. Period. Right? Like whatever you believe to be good, you will always fall short of your specific belief of goodness. Which, I mean, this is something this is a good way of phrasing something I've known for a long time, right? Which means that really your belief of goodness should not be based on what you think is the good action, but you should base it on what helps you achieve the good action, right? So, you know, my theory is that the whole idea, and one of the foundational ideas that led me on the path I'm on, is that it's like you need to have the most rigorous moral belief system that you could possibly have, right? You need to get as absolutely extreme about your morals and your values and as straight edge and as hard line about it as you possibly can be, right? Because you're never going to live up to that, right? You're not going to live up to that super hard line. You're going to fall short. But, you're putting the line way ahead, right? Because if you have like mid values, if your values are like wishy washy, like, you know what I mean, mid values, and you kind of believe them, you believe your values half-heartedly, then you fall short of half-heartedly, and you're like doing some, you're out there, right? Like if you're someone who, like, I have a friend who will not be named, who we, have known him forever and talked about all sorts of relationship stuff, and we used to agree, when I was less puritanical than I am now, and when he was, I think, a little bit more than he is now. We had talks about how sex is one of those things that, it's best to have it in a relationship with connection where you love and care about each other, right? Like, we were kind of both agreeing that, yeah, I'm just not super into the idea of hookups, and like, sure, I would, you know, do it with someone I was dating for a little while. If we were dating for a little while and there was that connection there, right? Um, and then we kind of went opposite ways on it, where I got religious, and I really strengthened my values and went, well, if your value is, if your value is that, is like, um is about like that love and connection, but not necessarily like that hardcore commitment, like relationship barrier of marriage. It's like, okay, I believe that that's the line, right? But if I already know that my natural tendency is to fall short of the line, that means that I will inevitably have a weak moment at some point where I fall short, and I might, make some sort of, mistake where I do something that's like a hookup, or, something that is short of that goal, that ends up being like a one night stand, or having intercourse too early in a relationship when the love and connection really isn't there yet, and just all those things that are highly undesirable, right? But that's what falling short of that line looks like. But then when I raise my goal, I raise my bar, and I say, hey, no sex until marriage, that, including everything, right? Like no oral, no loopholes, none of that until marriage, right? Then when I fall short, it looks like, you know, it doesn't, it's not like I fall short by having a one night stand. It's like I fall short by, you know, having sex before marriage with someone that I am in a committed relationship with. It's just that we're not married yet, right? Because I've had another friend that I saw that happen to him, right? Where he was in a committed relationship. They were together for months or whatever, and they were engaged, right? They're like set to get married. And so they did fall short, and they ended up having sex. And um, and that's not, I mean, that's not ideal, right? But it is better than the even having the even lower bar. Is my point, is that, no matter who you are or how good you think you are, you will fall short of your values without a doubt. It's gonna happen, right? That's just the nature of humanity. It's part of being alive. And so, knowing that that's the case, the only way to plan for it is to compensate your values in the other direction for that, you know? And like, right, like that's the other thing, is that, like, as my values and my understanding changes, I have to continue to compensate upward, right? Like, because my value, for example, we're just going to keep on the sex thing because I think it's one of the most poignant examples to be made. Um, my values in the culture of the world, and I like to show that difference. And so, on the sexual impurity thing, it's like I would say that, like, my value on it, the hard line that I draw in truth is no sex before marriage, right? That's the goal I want to hit as far as actions go, is that I will not have sexual intercourse with anyone until I am married to that woman, right? That's the hard line. I don't want to fall short of that action, right? And so, in order to compensate that goal upward, to go, okay, that's the goal, but what is going to be the actual value standard that allows me to fall a little bit and still meet that goal? And so the value standard there is going to be, um, something more along the lines of, like, okay, and, until we're married, there's going to be boundaries on physical affection and on time alone in private, right? Like, and that's going to sound extreme to a lot of people, but it's like, that's what you got to do to ensure that nothing goes wrong. Is like, we're not going to spend too much time together alone in a private place, right? That's the new value, right? Or we're, that when I am in a relationship, there's going to be, restrictions on physical affection as far as like, we'll obviously have to discuss that in the relationship to figure those out. But, for me, I would imagine it's somewhere along the lines of, kissing and holding hands and stuff. But then when you get into, more touching, feeling, grabbing actions, you're like, okay, that's too far, right? Because, so you see what I'm saying? It's like I'm drawing the line of my value further than what the actual hardline law is, what the commandment is, right? Because people love loopholes, right? Couples, young couples, religious couples, right? It's such a thing, you know. It's like the classic, like, Mormon soaking example, right? Where you've got that, like, oh, well, it's technically not sex because, like, somebody else is jumping on the bed for us or whatever, right? But, people do the same thing. It's like, oh, like, anal technically isn't like regular sex or oral or hand stuff, right? And you can have like further abstractions down the line of what is and isn't real, what isn't actually breaking the rule, right? And so that's how you that's how you end up breaking the rule is by doing those things. And so, like, for me, I set the bar like so much higher, where it's like not only are all those things absolutely in contradiction with the rule, unequivocally, but also the steps that lead to those things, right? Saying, you know, like what I just said, the alone time and the touching and such, right? Those are the gateway drugs. Those are the start of the slippery slope that leads you down to the other things that leads you down to like straight up premarital sex, right? So it's a gradient. It's the slope. It's the slippery slope. And so in order to, like, that there's an amount of slipping that you are going to do because you're human. And so that's how I think about my boundaries. And then, I'd say the same thing. I think drugs and alcohol works the exact same way, right? Where if you're gonna go, well, like, let's say your line on alcohol is like, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't get drunk, right? I won't get drunk. I'll just have a few drinks with my friends socially. If you're one of those people, right? That's your bar. Well, you falling short of that bar is you have a few too many and you get drunk, right? So you falling short of your goal is just you falling short of your goal. So if you were smart, what you would do is you would raise that goal even further and you'd say, how to guarantee you absolutely never get drunk? Is you never drink, right? That's the actual correct goal to have because it guarantees the other thing is that, like, literally, if your goal is like, I never drink, your slippery slope would be that you might have, a weak moment or social event where you do end up having one drink, two drinks, right? So you failing that goal still keeps you safe from your real goal, right? And then me, right? So we're off of hypothetical you, and then we're on to me, who's a real person. My real goal is that I don't drink, right? Ever. Not a drop, right? So that means that my stated goal, in order to allow myself wiggle room, needs to be something more like, I will not be around alcohol, right? I don't hang out with people who drink. I don't go to places where there's a lot of drinking, generally, if I can avoid it, right? Um, and that's the goal, right? It's like, I'm not around alcohol if I can avoid it. I'm not around drunk people. I'm not around people who drink, right? I'm completely removed from that situation, which means that my slipping, right? Like, my slippage factor on that goal means that, well, when I slip up on that goal, when I have a weak moment, all that means is that I hung out with people who are drinking, or I went into a brewery, or I went into a bar to hang out and play some pool, and I didn't actually drink, right? So by increasing the increasing your stated goal over your actual goal. I think I don't know if those are the right terms. I'm struggling to find correct terminology for this concept, but you understand what I'm saying, which is that, well, I don't know that you do, because I don't know that there is a you. But, point point being that there's the behavior goal and there's the thought goal, right? There's the theoretical goal and there's the hard line behavioral goal, right? And so there's the boundary, the limit of what I am actually willing to do and what I'm not willing to do. And then there's what I say that limit is, or what I think it is, or what the theory is. Because the theory, right, theory always needs to be more extreme and more hardline than the actual thing, so that you allow yourself slipping room, you allow yourself failure room, right? It's kind of like the idea of like tolerances or whatever. Like, I'm trying to think of if that's the right term, but like in, machining and in manufacturing and stuff, there's a certain like level of tolerance for failure that needs to be built into every part, right? Like, if you're trying to put something together, right, and you're manufacturing it on lathes and whatever you're doing, right, your machines are never going to operate exactly perfectly, right? So you have to actually design whatever you're going to have the machines build. When you're on your computer designing it, you have to design, air gaps and tolerances so that it doesn't, so that it allows for the machines to be as imperfect as they are and have the final result still work the way you want it to. And so that concept is what I'm applying here, but just to like, boundaries and goal setting in your personal life, right? Because, we humans work the same way, except our tolerances need to be much looser than a machine, right? I mean, you need to give yourself miles of room to make mistakes because people make miles of mistakes, right? It's just, you've seen it over and over again. Probably. If you're paying attention, you've seen it, right? In your life, you've seen the mistakes you've made, and you've seen the mistakes of the people around you who, right? Especially people close to you. Like, you get to know them and you see what their goals and their values are, and then they fall short of them, and you're like, okay, right? And you can see how short people can fall, right? So it's it's important to recognize that and account for it in your goal setting. And that's something that, like, I don't know if I have an accurate sense of how much other people understand that. Because when I haven't tried to discuss it with people a lot, but the few times I feel like I've brought it up, people don't really get what I'm saying as much. Where it's like, it seems dishonest, I guess. There's a level of dishonesty that feels like it's a part of it, where it's like, oh, so you're lying about your goals. And it's like, well, not really. It's kind of like double think, you know? It's this concept of having two contradictory ideas in mind at the same time and not giving one truth, not giving one like precedence, and just recognizing that like both are true. Like both are boundaries for me, right? And that one, I mean, I guess there is precedence, is that one exists to serve the other, right? The higher boundary exists to protect the lower boundary. That is its purpose. And so it's like just there's levels to it, And I think everyone does it to a certain extent, right? Like the law is a great example where like the speed limit is sort of like the higher boundary, right? Where they say, hey, the speed on this is a 45 mile an hour parkway, right? But nobody's going to actually go 45. Everyone's going to go 10 over, right? But, if they're smart, they thought about that when they were designing it, right? They didn't put the absolute highest safe speed. They went for the speed that they were like, okay, given that people drive faster than they should, this is what the speed limit is, because we know people are going to drive faster than that anyway, right? So in your life, you also think about it that way. It's like a double effect where anytime you see a speed limit sign, at least most people that I've talked to say, oh yeah, it's always safe to go 5 over, or some people say it's always safe to go 10 over. People have their own little rule of thumb for it. But that's an example in action of like the higher goal is the speed limit, but the actual hardline goal that you're shooting for is, 10 miles per hour over that, right? And it just depends who you are. But it's a mindset issue, because think about it this way. If you actually, because if you're one of those people that says, well, you can always go 10 over, and I know because I'm one of those people where it's like, yeah, if the speed limit's 45, I'm absolutely cleared to go 55. But how often do I actually go 55? Almost never. I'm still going 60, 65, 70, right? Like going much, much faster past that goal because wiggle room, right? So it's like, even though you have the rule of thumb that goes, hey, this is my goal, you're falling off from that. So if your actual goal was only to go 55, you would make your stated goal be always go the speed limit. Because then when you fail from that, you're still only going 55. So it's the same thing. I'm just repeating it over and over again with different analogies. But I don't know where else to go with this. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty important stuff, I think, because it's like self-engineering, self-management, right? It's like you have to think of yourself as something or someone other than yourself, right? You have to kind of step outside yourself and be introspective and just kind of look at yourself and just be like, okay, what systems can I put in place to help this, machine, this operation run most effectively, right? Instead of being like, I'm me and I want what I want, step out of it and be like, okay, if I was just a factory, if I was just a machine, or if I was just, whatever, right? How would I run myself and run my life and program myself in order for the greatest success, right? And so that's what you have to think about, is instead of being caught in the moment and in the constant present of being, me, now, 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 you want to just step outside of it, and that's what this is all about, is contrasting, like, okay, here's me now, but then here's me having sort of a meta understanding of myself and what my deal is, and then accounting for that within my sort of programming, so to speak, because your beliefs and your values are your programming, or they're at least part of it, right? Like they're that base code of parameters letting you know what's good and what's not. So if you can take into account all these other things when you're setting the base code parameters, then you're setting yourself up for success. Oh man. Man, I'm going for a minute now. Um, I'm trying to figure out what I can play that I can actually play while talking. Um, that's a hard question because most of my games are pretty involved as far as like mental effort, Maybe there's something like a download that might hit different, but I mean, Minecraft could be nice. I always love some Minecraft. Yeah, Minecraft would be a good choice, I think, because I could just mine and craft and all that fun stuff and just talk the whole time. Yeah, I think we're gonna re-download Minecraft. That's the move. That's the move. Yeah, so I don't know what else I was talking about. Here, let's cut into a different topic. We're gonna rewind back to girls. I know you guys, as if anyone watches this, but um, you know, the theoretical you guys who might be watching this are probably tired. It's important, because here's the thing. There's frankly only two types of people. I know that's like a meme. It's like there's two kinds of people in this world, but there's two kinds of people. There's men and there's women, right? Like those are the two basic categories of people in my estimation. Like that's the basic division between humans. It's not like a division in the sense that like men and women are enemies, right? Like we actually, um, we complete each other in a way that I find to be very beautiful. Actually, like it's a beautiful part of God's plan for us that um, that we complete each other in that sort of way, and that we're just such a good, perfect sort of match. But anyway, oh, that was stupid of me. Oh, dude, I am not thinking about what's going on. Anyway, we're just gonna play some multiplayer. So I do have to figure out how to mute myself. I feel like there should be an easy way to mute myself, but there's not. So maybe I shouldn't be playing this. Okay, we're just gonna go back to zombies and try to do something kind of like an easier map, maybe. Yeah, we'll jump on some Noct. Girls and guys are like two sides of the same coin, right? Humanity is these two categories, and I think that that's crucial. I think it's crucial for our happiness and for living this life in the most fulfilled and complete way, you know. And this is something I've talked about before in private journal entries, but you know, now that I'm using this as like a journal sort of thing, I'll talk about it here. Is that I think that, you know, the stages that you go through in life are, you know, are purposefully designed to allow you to experience all that life has to offer. You know, like the family structure exists so that you can be a complete person. And I would argue that unless you go through like a traditional family structure, generally, you're actually not accomplishing like your complete personhood, pretty much, right? Like you're actually missing out on crucial parts of your own humanity, because you got to think about, right? Let's just say you're me, right? You're a man. Your stage, you start as a child, obviously. You're going to start as a kid, and you get to experience the aspect of childhood and innocence and purity that, you know, that I think is important. I think that reflects, you know, that purity and innocence reflects godliness in a lot of ways, because, you know, like, you know, purity is an inherently godly trait, I would say. And then you also get to experience masculinity and femininity through your parents, right? You get to see and be raised by a masculine influence and a feminine influence, being your father and your mother. And so you get that baseline. And then you grow up and you have to learn how to be a man. And I would argue that the thing that teaches you most how to be a man is being with a woman, right? Like, and because that's really the definition, I would say. That's the definition of, you know, masculinity and femininity. They can't have definitions without each other, right? Like, you can't be a man without women to contrast against, essentially. Or to just, you know, to be a man with, right? And so sometimes, you know, that's not always a romantic relationship, right? Like, those can be mothers and sisters and friends and such. But the core of it and the most, you know, the full evolution of that is your romantic relationship with your wife, right? The relationship that a man forms with his wife is like a very formative relationship in your masculinity, right? Like, that's your first real dose of being a man. I mean, you get a lot of it, and it is a gradual, you get to be a man in a lot of ways, but a lot of the ways in which you get to be a man are really just you getting to be an adult. And those are different. Those are different terms, I would say. Like, sure, like technically, what they denote, as far as definitions are, man just means male adult. But you know, I think that there's more nuance to it than just male adult. I would say that to be a man denotes a specific masculinity, right? And so, simply being an adult is not masculine. Doing grown-up things is not masculine, necessarily, right? Like, it's masculine in the sense that it's not childish, but it's not really masculine in the sense that it's not feminine? I don't know. It's, when you get into this, it's hard because there's all the social constructs, too, where I find it hard to separate what is actual eternal truth about human nature versus like what is a social construct, because the lines are blurred, and I don't know everything, so it is what it is. But where's that last zombie at? I would love to hit this nuke. Where the heck is this guy, dude? That's like the worst thing about this map. Anyway, so we continue. Basically, that's the rub. What was I talking about? Oh, masculinity. So, right, becoming a husband or a wife, right, are the two ways of truly learning your masculinity or your femininity, right, depending which one you are. So, as a man, being a husband is really that learning how to have that relationship with a feminine entity and with your wife, and be the masculine influence and the masculine half of that partnership. That's a super important part of learning that aspect of humanity. And then on the flip-flop, having that relationship with your wife also teaches you a lot about her femininity. And learning all these things about women and the feminine nature that you're not going to learn by just being a bachelor. Right? And so you're learning through marriage, like the whole human experience. And then, right, you get on to the next fun thing about marriage, which is children. Which, having children really doubles down the need for the masculine and feminine influences, because they're both such crucial parts of raising a child. Right? Like, a child cannot be raised correctly and effectively without both a good masculine and good feminine influence, right? And so you have to learn that. You kind of have to apply what you've learned. It's like being married has taught you a couple things about masculinity and how to be a man, and now you have to basically take the test. Having a kid is going to test everything about your relationship. It's going to refine all of your ability to be a man. And then also, raising children of each gender is going to teach you more about that nature. And it's going to bring you back to, the fact of having children brings you back to your own childhood. It brings you back to that innocence factor that, by the time you have children, you've long since forgot what it's like to be a kid, right? So you get to relive that and re-hammer into your mind that concept of childhood innocence, right? And then having boys, having girls to raise teaches you about those natures, right? Like being a father, raising a son or raising sons is going to help you learn so much more about your own masculinity that you didn't know, and so much more about what it means to be a man. Because, it's like they always say, the best way to learn something is to teach it, right? So if you are, having to teach your sons what it means to be a man, because they're not going to learn it from anyone but you, right? It's your responsibility to teach them that. If you're teaching your sons what it means to be a man, that means that you're learning too. Like, you're having to double down on that knowledge and really learn what it means, and learn even more. And that's what I think the whole thing's about, is that it's all about learning. At every step of the way, you're learning more, you're growing more. And I think that's awesome. I think that's beautiful. And then that's the thing is, okay, if you're a man who has daughters, sure, a lot of that teaching them how to be feminine is going to come from their... Should I just birth kit? That's crazy. Is going to come from their mother, right? It's going to come from your wife. But I think you also have a big impact on that, because you also get to teach them that. You get to be a good example of masculinity, because, like I said, it's two sides of the same coin. So if you have to teach your daughters what a good man looks like, so that they can know what a good woman looks like, because a good woman is defined essentially by that which most best complements a good man, and a good man is defined by that which best complements a good woman, right? Like that's the core of it. And it's so simple, yet so hard for most people to figure out, and so hard to get right, that it's I don't know, it's so cool. But yeah, that's the thing, is it's like, I feel like that in order to get like the full experience, the ideal perfect human experience, which no one ever actually has an ideal perfect human experience, right? But the ideal would be mother figure and raise up in a home like that. Ideally with siblings too. Siblings and even more of that like all gender influence on everything. So you know masculinity and femininity even more deeply, right? And you have more experience to draw upon regarding those concepts. Um, so that's how you want to be raised. And then you want to grow into a good man, have a good wife, and then raise, multiple children of both genders and be a good father, right? And then, when you've done all of that, you're still going to keep learning. You're still going to keep learning more stuff because your children are going to get older. They're going to become adults, right? And then them transitioning through the teenage years into adulthood is going to teach you even more stuff you didn't know, right? And it's going to be a constant, it's constantly learning. And that's, it's one of those things that's like a huge cliche that people say all the time is like, I'm a lifelong learner. Life's always about just learning all the time, learning new things. People say that all the time because it's like such a cliche at this point. But it is true. Like, it's definitely, it is true. It's just you need to arrive at it from a place of deep thinking. And I think that's kind of what I just did. This monologue I just gave, all about this stuff, is that essentially I rambled about stuff until I logically arrived at the conclusion of being a lifelong learner. Instead of just being like, repeating that like it's some sort of slogan that I learned. Ooh, stamina? Yes please. But yeah, I think that's the core of it, really, is everything we just talked about, being able to learn from those experiences instead of just having them. Because I think a lot of people learn up until a certain point. Like, there's always this point of arrested development, right? Where a person is learning and growing and developing, and then they hit sort of a wall where that stubbornness sets in. And for some people that happens younger, and for some people that happens older, but I think it happens to most people eventually, where they hit a certain age where they just get stubborn, and they're like, no, I'm not going to learn new things, I'm not going to change my ways, I'm not going to accept, any possibility that I might be wrong about anything. And that mindset just sort of creeps in and starts to take over the older you get. And so I think that's one of the secrets to success in this life, is staying, like Frank Sinatra said, young at heart. And keeping that, what's that term? Just keeping that the humility and open-mindedness to continue to learn and to realize that everything you do is a learning experience and it's all valuable for your growth, right? And then where are the zombies? That's the other question. It's like, where are they? Yeah, so that's got to be one of the most fun things. I don't know if it's fun for anyone, but I would imagine one of the most interesting things about listening to me ramble and watching me play video games is just that constant random back and forth between, me rambling about deep stuff or me just mentioning the game. So kind of go back and forth. But it's, I don't know. It's pretty fun to just sit and talk about stuff like this. And that's why I so look forward to marriage and family life and all that stuff, because I just think there's so much you learn about your nature, and about just humanity from living that human experience. So I'm excited for it, but I'm definitely not in a place where I'm ready for it yet, But yeah, the reason I got out of the whole human nature thing, I was literally just going to talk about, like, a random specific girl. Gosh, I'm so weird. Yeah, so I was going to talk about this girl. It's this girl that I work with, and the lore here is basically that I started a new job recently. It's at a burger, local burger place, not like fast food or anything. Like, it's a pretty nice, it's a higher end sort of burger place. And I'm liking working there. It's a fun, enjoyable vibe most of the time. But we have two locations. One is in the town I live in, and one is in the neighboring, sort of the next town over, right? It's like a 15 to 30 minute drive depending on where you are and where you're going, right? So anyway, that is fun. And so I noticed that the store in the town that I live in is a lot friendlier, and the coworkers are a lot nicer, and everyone's kind of just friends there. As opposed to the one in the next town over. That store, everyone's a little less friendly, everyone's a little less talkative, and it feels a little weird to work there because I don't feel as like welcomed, right? And so I've been in a place where I'm struggling to try to make sure I'm friends with everyone over there, but honestly, the whole making sure I'm friends with everyone is kind of just a cover for the fact that the girls that work there are cute, and me wanting to be friends with them is just low-key me wanting to get to know them so that I find out if they have boyfriends and I can ask them out, you know? Like, it's one of those, it's another, like, double think sort of situation where both things are true. Like, I want to date these girls, but I also want to be friends with everyone, you know? Like, both things are factors in my decision making, right? It's like, yeah, I want to be friendly with everybody, and I would like to get to know them better just for the sake of knowing my coworkers and having better, like, workplace banter. But I also have this sort of ulterior motive of, like, they are cute, and if they're single, I want to see if I can... Because that's the other thing, this isn't like a career job for me, right? Like, I'm working at a burger place, this is not... I don't need this job, I'm just, part of the reason I'm even here is to meet people and put myself out there and experience new things, right? Like, to just have a normal job and, do normal work with normal people and have some more diverse experiences, whatever, right? Like, there's a lot of different people that work there. And, I think part of that is definitely dating, right? Part of meeting new people is the dating aspect of, like, yeah, you could meet someone suitable to date as well, and I'm open to that, even though, in general, as a principle, I'm generally opposed to, like, dating in the workplace. I think it also depends on your workplace, because, if you're working in a place that's like, this is my office job, this is my career, I'm going to be here forever, then, please, don't date. It's like, don't muddy the waters that you're drinking out of, right? Where it's like, and by muddy the waters, I don't mean like being with women is like gross or anything. I just mean like, the idea is that if you're gonna try to date, there's a lot of mess that comes with that because dating doesn't always work out, right? You might go on a date and have it be awkward and have it not, just not lead anywhere, or you might date for a while and end up having a messy breakup, or, like there's a lot that can happen that goes wrong with dating. And so, if you have a career that you're thinking about that's a high priority for you, then don't date where you work, because if it goes wrong, which it so often does, you're gonna cause significant problems for yourself in your career, and you don't want that, right? I mean, dating problems are bad enough on their own, and then having your dating problems bleed into your work life is just, not good at all. So, that's what I mean by that. But, this is not my career. I don't really care how things go here. I mean, I'm enjoying working at this, working where I'm working, and it's been fun, and I hope to stay here a little while, but, if worst comes to worst, and I end up dating a coworker, and it doesn't go well, and all these things, then, having to quit the job, or having to stop, even changing my availability, right? Because that's something too, is that I get to choose whether I'm available to work at both locations or just the one in my town. And because I get that choice, that means that, if I date one of these girls at the other location and things don't work out, I can always, take because you do have to take a pay cut if you lessen your availability, but it's like 50 cents an hour. It's not terrible, and I could still do that and just take the 50-cent pay cut and move on if need be, or once again, just quit and get a different job somewhere else. Like, it's not a huge deal. But my point is that, these girls, and I am just going to call them by their names, their first names, because I feel like I'm walking this balance with this channel where I'm not sure if I'm in a place where I want to continue to make it accessible so that like anyone can watch it, or if I'm going to make it private so no one can watch it. But on the off chance that if I decide to go accessible, I don't want to share any details that are going to help people figure out who I am or anything specific about my life or the circumstances, right? So, anyway, that's my, so I feel like I can call these girls by their actual first names because they're fairly common names, and it's not gonna, right, it's not gonna give it away, I don't think, unless you're like one of those crazy, unless it's like 4chan, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I've always heard those stories where like the people on 4chan will like uncover like the craziest mysteries or whatever just because they're like autistic basement dwellers, and they just all will hyperfixate on something en masse until they figure it out. So, you know, as long as 4chan doesn't get a hold of me, I'm sure no one's gonna figure it out. So anyway, there's these two girls that I'm mainly interested in, and, you know, this is not characteristic for me to be interested in multiple girls at once, because that's just not normally who I am. I'm very much like a monogamous sort of guy, where I'll get like one primary, you know, interest or crush or obsession or whatever the word's gonna be for the stage of life that I happen to be in. But I'll usually get the one, and then, you know, it'll just be totally dead focused on that one girl until that no longer becomes viable, right? So that's kind of my pattern, right? And so it is odd for me. And, you know, my values, too. I do believe in monogamy. I do believe in, like, generally people being focused and committed. But I'm also loosed up on it a little bit because when it comes to just the act of dating, oh, Widow's Wine is so good, but I just don't think it's going to work for what I'm trying to do. I think I need double tap is what I really need. Because there's no pack-a-punch, so, like, I need as much firepower as I can get. Dude, Widows twice in a row, that's, like, that's heartbreaking. But anyway. So, the first girl that I met and was like, dang, she's kind of nice, she's kind of cute, right? Was this girl, Ryan. She's, a newer employee, like myself, but not quite as new as I am. I'm, like, the newest there, right? Which also feels weird because I feel like I'm older than just about everyone else there, by at least a little bit. Oh crap. And I'm definitely, you know, I'm very intelligent and mature and all those things, and I know it sounds like I'm being egotistical, but it's kind of a fact, that you would know if you knew me. But, you know, anyway, point being, you know, this girl's like one of the newer people besides me. She's been around for a few months, but she's just really struggling, I guess, to figure things out. And, you know, the workplace is weird because there is a good amount of drama and gossip and stuff that I hear. Especially because, like, one of the main reasons I got the job is, like, my best friend in the world works here. So I was like, oh, that'd be cool to work with my friend, right? Oh, I did not want to hit that. My reaction time was not good enough. Anyway, what was I saying? So, I hear a lot of gossip and a lot of that background. Oh, MX girl. Oh, it's so fun, but it's so bad. I'll use it. It's fun. We're having fun. Anyway, so there's a lot of gossip, and what I've overheard about her is that she's kind of bad at her job, and she just makes a lot of mistakes, and right, she's just not the best. And I've heard that her attitude can be bad, that she can be mean to people, not like customers, but like managers, and be arguing and being just kind of generally unpleasant. I haven't seen any of that from her. I've only worked with her a couple of times, but the times I did work with her, she seemed nice enough. She seemed, you know, smiley and all the sort of the normal things that you'd think of that make somebody nice, right? But anyway, what was I saying? So basically, okay, basically that's my impression of her, and I thought she was cute. And then there's also like, I have this this Captain Save-A-Ho instinct. That's what I mean. That's what I like to call it. That's what I'd heard it called when I was growing up. So it just kind of stuck. It was like this funny, but it's this idea of like, you know, guys who find a woman who's got problems, who's in trouble or whatever, and think, oh, I can save her, I can fix her, I can yada yada yada, right? And women do it too, but you know, it's not as funny. I don't have a funny name for it the other way around. But I'm sure there is, like, people have come up with them, I'm sure, because it's kind of a trope. Oh, I'm dead. That's it. Oh! The Gobblegum hit. Okay. That's what I get for using MX Garand, honestly, but it's so fun that it's hard not to use it, you know? Anyway, so, I know that she's kind of like an odd, you know, an odd duck, and she's not, she doesn't fit in the best, she doesn't have the best reputation. That almost makes me like her more, you know? Like, it makes me more interested, because I'm like, oh, I could help her, you know? Because I'm like the opposite. I'm brand new, and everybody likes me, no one's got a problem with me, I'm very good at what I do for as new as I am. And once again, the way I talk about this makes it sound like I'm really conceited, but I promise that's not what's going on. This is just my objective view of the situation. Like, this is how it is, right? This is how things are. I'm doing well there, and I've talked to multiple people, because I know how gossip works, right? Like, I know how social circles work, and I know how to get information, right? Knowledge is power, and if there's one thing I like, it's power, okay? So, I'm pretty good at finding out what people think and what people know, just by talking to other people and digging for that information. And I've been able to talk to a lot of other people, and based on all the information I can gather, no one has a problem with me. Literally nobody has a problem with me, which is awesome, right? That's the goal. I want to be friends with everybody, right? And I've got a lot of good feedback from managers, being good at my job, all that stuff. But I don't need to prove that to you guys, but, you know, it is what it is. That's just what I'm saying. And, and so in my head, I'm like, oh, well, you know, she's new, I'm new, but I'm doing a lot better than her, so, like, we're kind of in the same boat, but her side is sinking, you know? If that makes any sense. And so I'm thinking, like, okay, well, I'm obviously not sinking my boat, so I should show her how it's done, you know? I should give her some advice, help her out, or whatever. I could do that, right? But, or, you know, or whatever it is, because I also struggle to understand how she could even be doing bad, because the job is, like, so easy. It's so ridiculously easy. Like, sure, it's tiring at the end of a shift or whatever, especially longer shifts, but it's not, like, hard stuff. Like, especially, like, on counter, like running the counter and the register is what she has made a lot of mistakes on, and that's, like, the easiest thing for me to do. I mean, it's so straightforward, so simple that I can't imagine having any trouble with it. So, anyway, she was the first girl that kind of attracted my attention for the aforementioned reasons, but she's not, like, the best. She's not, like, stunning. She's not, like, absolutely the most beautiful girl you've ever seen. She's got, the teeth are a little bit messed up. You know what, there's no reason to go into the details, but the point is, it's just, like, you know, she's alright. She's more of, like, a girl next door, a little, like, more average looking sort of girl, and I don't know anything else about her. I don't even know how old she is. Right? Which is another thing that I would have to check into if I actually wanted to pursue her seriously, is I would have to make sure that she's old enough and young enough, you know? Like, that she's within my age range, I guess, is what I mean. Did I just almost, I'm about to die because I went for a carpenter, bro. That's probably the stupidest thing. Okay, anyway. That's just me being impulsive. It is what it is. That was pretty clean, though. Anyway. She was the first girl that attracted my attention, and I had all those ideas, and I was like, okay. So I started to warm up to the idea of dating at work. I was like, okay, you know, maybe I might ask this girl out, right? And then I haven't worked with her in a while, but then there's this other girl who I started working with, who I started getting shifts with, and her name is Stella. And she is, like, drop dead gorgeous. Like, she's like, I mean, as crude as it is to use number ranking systems, like, she's easily 8.5 or a 9, you know? At least for my taste, you know? Like, she's just, yeah, absolutely beautiful. And she's also, like, seems nice enough, but I haven't got to talk to her much. Don't know much about her, right? Kuda? No, I'm good. Actually, yes, I should use the Kuda. Even though I don't want to. It'll help me level it up for the Shadows of Evil thing. Actually, maybe that's what I should just do, is just, like, use the Kuda for a long time to get it leveled. And then the HVK, too, if I can find it. Anyway, this girl, Stella, is beautiful. And, she is, that's the other thing, is that I did find out her age. She is 18. Which is, for some people, you know, some people it's young or it's, like, creepy, like, oh, barely legal or whatever. But I'm, like, not even 21, right? Like, I'm just about to turn 21 here pretty soon. That's one of those things that, like, I think that's a completely acceptable age gap, right? Like, 21, 18 is not crazy. I don't think it's crazy. Everyone has their own boundaries on that, but yeah, for me, that's not out of the question. Like, she graduated high school, right? And so this summer is, like, her, you know, her first summer after high school. She's planning on going to the same college that I went to, you know, which is a little bit weird to have that difference in stages of life, you know, of being like, oh, she's about to go to college when I'm already done with it. But, I mean, if I was still in college, like getting a 4-year degree or something, I would, you know, she would be a freshman and I'd be like a junior, right? Which is, for college, not that bad. Anyway, I still don't need to justify my dating decisions. Anyway, she's really cute. She's within my age range, and I think that's awesome. So, like, the only thing is that she's not very talkative. And I've talked to other people about her secondhand, so I can, you know how it is. I'm gathering information, right? So I figured it out a little bit, and that's just how she is. She's just kind of quiet. She doesn't like to talk that much. She doesn't like to be super social and talk about herself at work. She just kind of, you know, she's friendly, and she shows up, and she does a good job at everything, and she leaves. And she's also very competent. She used to work for this company, like, last summer, right, as a summer job, as a high schooler does, right? And so now she's returning after, you know, like a year of absence or whatever, being in school, and so she's in a place where she's already pretty experienced. She's just a little rusty. She's coming back up on some of those skills, and she's close to making assistant manager, which is like, I mean, I don't want to explain the whole structure, the whole corporate structure here, but you know, it's the first major promotion really above just being a regular employee, and so, you know, she's definitely above me as far as skill and experience and corporate standing and all that fun stuff. So that makes her a little different, a little intimidating too, because I don't, you know, I like being the more, like, experienced and mature sort of one. That's always something that's been interesting to me, or not interesting, just, like, desirable to me. Like, I just like being the mature, intelligent, in control person. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to have a preference, right? Oh my gosh, I'm just getting some crazy guns, but what I really want is just the HVK. I'm just gonna level Kuda and HVK. 3 shotguns in a row, that's crazy. Watch, my 4th roll is gonna be an Argus. Anyway, this girl, she's very attractive, but it's like she's kind of like the problem I'm solving right now. She's like a puzzle where it's like, oh, I didn't get the Argus. Anyway, where it's like my whole goal right now when I'm working over there or working with her is just to try to get her to open up. Like that's the whole thing. Is like get on a friendly basis with her, because that's the other thing is that workplace dating and relationships is like, you know, is iffy territory. Like you don't really know what is the proper course of action for all of that stuff, because it's a gray area. You can't just like ask a bunch of girls out at work. There's a whole dating policy at the company too. Like it's, you know, there's hoops to be jumped through. And so, for me, my strategy, like I said, is like I'm just trying to get friendly with her now. I'm just trying to get her to open up, which I'll admit is sort of a contradiction of my usual dating policy. My usual policy that I've learned from experience is that the friends to lovers arc just never happens. That's just not real life. That's a storybook, right? In my life, it's just friend zone. That's where it ends. I just end up in the friend zone, right? So, oh, the ray gun, dude. What is this luck? Anyway, so what I'm working on is, you know, is normally outside of this specific scenario is I want it to be really clear that my only intentions are dating, right? And that I'm not trying to be friends, because I don't need to end up in more of those friend zone situations. Like, it's just not good for me. So, you know, I need to be really clear about intentions early on. But this scenario requires a gentler touch. And so the idea here is that I will basically try to get her to feel comfortable and safe and close and all that fun stuff. Get friendly, get talkative, learn about her life, all that stuff. And then, you know, when the correct moment strikes, we take it outside the workplace, right? We get to that point of like, hey, do you want to go do something sometime, right? And then, you know, when we're out of the workplace, when it's going to be allowed for me to actually make a move, that's when I go, hey, I really, you know, I've been really liking getting to know you and all those things. And that's provided that that's true, right? Like, that's provided that I actually am liking getting to know her and I'm liking it. You know, if I'm not, then, you know, then it's not going anywhere and it's over, right? But okay, sorry, I got really focused there for a second. Anyway, there's always that potential that she isn't going to be as interesting or as desirable as I might imagine she is before I get to know her. So that's really possible. And then, here's the other possibility. She might have a boyfriend. That's all. I mean, a girl that attractive who's single, I mean, that's rare. So, like, it's definitely a work in progress. I'm not putting too much into it. But you can tell I'm already overthinking it, because that's what I do all the time. Anytime there's a new cute girl to be interested in, I will find a way to just absolutely overthink the crap out of it. So, I wonder if there's an HVK on this map. There's a KN. There's a Locus in this cabinet, for sure, right? Costs 5,000. There's an Argus right there. I just want to make sure there's not an HVK lying around. That's a Pharaoh. Some people say Pharaoh, but I don't know. I like Pharaoh better. And this is spawn room, which means it's only going to be RK5 Shiva. Yeah. Anyway. What was I saying? So this girl, Stella, she is... Yeah, so she, like, might not even be single. And then here's the other thing, is... you know, don't friggin' crucify me for this, but I have certainly done a little bit of Facebook stalking, just a little bit, internet stalking, just to, you know, you just, when there's someone to be interested in, you know, you look them up just to see what there is out there about them, you know, to see if you can find out anything useful. Especially because a lot of girls will post about their boyfriend, and you'll be like, okay, that's an easy way for me to know that you're not single. We're chilling, right? Rule you out real quick. And that's going to be the KRM. Anyway, so that's what I did. I tried to look them both up. Stella couldn't find anything about her. She doesn't seem to have a Facebook account. The only thing is, like, there's a possibility that she could have Instagram or something else like that, right? But I'm not on those platforms anymore, so I haven't gone that far. I'm not gonna go so far as to like start downloading platforms I don't actually use just to find out about her, right? That's a little creepy. But the other girl, Ryan, she, in her Facebook profile, it does say in a relationship, but it looks like from a while ago, and she hasn't posted a lot, so it's like, it's questionable whether she's still in that relationship. You know, sometimes girls forget to change it, and don't, yeah, it is what it is. So anyway, it is what it is. So but that makes her look a lot less viable to me, because she's, you know, maybe in a relationship. So, anyway, Stella, I don't know anything about her. I'm going in blind, aside from rumors and hearsay, right? Which is never a good basis for truth. So, what's the idea? So anyway, I think I already talked as much as I wanted to about her. She's just cute, and that's basically the whole story. Yep. And, yeah, so, what shall I say? I don't know. I do not know what else to say, but I'm definitely zoning out right now. I don't know what I'm thinking about. I love this song, dude. It bangs so hard. Dude, the COD Zombies music just hits so hard. Most of it's so good. There's a few stinkers, but mostly it's absolutely slaps. So yeah, no, but I'm still looking for dating strategies as far as like outside of work, because I basically have like 1.5 good options at work, so it's not a solid spot for me to do my main dating strategy. But is that the HVK, dude? Oh my gosh, dude. We are so set. So set. Okay. That's the strat. Okay, so, pretty much, what I'm saying is, yeah, I'm trying to figure out dating strategies for outside of just the 1.5 girls I'm looking at. So, I think that the things that I'm hearing from people, and gotta get out there. You gotta be out in social scenarios, doing things with other people, right? And that's what I'm struggling with, is finding an area of, like, where I can go be out in those social situations without compromising my values, you know? Where it's like, I want to go be out and I want to meet people, but I also don't want to be going to bars and picking up drunk chicks, you know? And I think that a lot of the social situations that young people are in are, like, parties and clubs and drinking and that stuff that I'm just not interested in. and because I feel like because not all young people do that, but the young people who don't do that are just like me. We just hang out with our small group of friends, in our private areas, doing our own thing. So it's not like these big social events where people meet each other. And yeah, so that's what I'm navigating, is like, what are my alternatives? I thought that my church involvement would be an alternative, but that hasn't panned out for me as far as meeting women goes. And then, I mean, I've certainly met a few women, but they're not the most suitable people in the world, so it hasn't quite panned out that way. So I'm looking into it, doing some research. I even used ChatGPT a little bit to get some advice on it, because ChatGPT is nice. Like, I don't know, whatever your stance is on AI, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, honestly, but it is just so useful. It's hard not to go to it every once in a while just to be like, okay, here's my problem. Like, here's what I like to do. Advice, anyone out there who doesn't use it a lot or wants to get more useful at using ChatGPT to solve problems, basically say, here's my problem, here's a little bit about my situation, and I want you to ask me 20 questions about me and my situation and my problem, right? So that you can help me solve it, right? And so when you give it that prompt, it will just generate 20 good questions, and then you give good answers to those 20 questions, and you go from there, right? And it'll give you a solution based on those answers. And what you can even do after that is you can say, hey, based on my response to your questions, ask me some more questions that are more in-depth and more detailed, right? And so you continue to, you just refine your search and your conversation with it that way. And eventually, it'll produce some interesting ideas. I mean, most of the ideas that mine came over from the conversation I had didn't do much for me. It wasn't super useful. I mean, it was cool, but it just wasn't groundbreaking stuff. Like, it's all stuff that I've thought of before. It didn't it didn't change my whole outlook or anything. It's like, go do things you like socially, Find clubs and groups that do things you like. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I don't like a lot of things that are majorly social, Like, I have a slight, I have kind of an interest in photography, right? Like, I like shooting photos. And so, I was thinking that would be a way to do that. Sorry, I just zoned out. Photography is something I'm kind of interested in, but I'm not sure if that's, I'm sure that there are photography groups that exist in my area where people get together and shoot pictures and stuff, but it's not the sort of thing that I feel like I would enjoy doing with other people. Like, it's a very personal, it's like an art form for me where it's a personal experience where I want to go out and be, comfortable and not have to deal with, social pressures and stuff, and just be like, I'm in my lane, I'm doing my thing, right? And, yeah, so that's one aspect. And then, crap, dude, so there's that. And then there's also, what kinds of girls am I gonna meet out doing photography? I mean, I guess anyone could like photography, but I see it being, I imagine it being more of, the artsy, artsy girls that end up being mostly, liberal, free thinker, creative types, right? So, that's, I don't know, that's a consideration I've had to make too. But it's worthwhile, I think. There's definitely a possibility for that, a photography group thing working out. But yeah, part of it's also that I'm just afraid to put myself out there, I'm afraid to just go out into some random group of people that I don't know, who probably all know each other better than I do, and just, intrude on that group. HVK looks like basically an AR. I mean, look at that charging handle. KN, no. Let's go buy some ammo for the Kuda. I think I'm pretty much hitting for monkeys at this point as well. I don't know, I'm thinking about joining those groups, but it's a possibility. And the other thing's politics, right? But I was looking into, like, the Central Oregon Republican Party or whatever. Just, like, goofy. It's all goofy over here. Like, the Republican, I don't know. I just don't think it's the right vibe. Like, I mean, I am, you know, I'm conservative, but, like, I'm, like, more conservative than, like, Republican, you know? Like, I'm not even sure if I'd fit in there, because they're so not super conservative. Man. And then philosophy? I like philosophy, but I don't like philosophers, you know? I'm not deep into, like, Plato, Aristotle, and all that, like, you know, all that stuff. I'm just, like, I like thinking and talking about stuff. I like just sort of that informal philosophy of just discussing people's life experience, you know? Like, that human connection and that cerebral... There's so much about, like, the concept of philosophy I love, but I don't like reading philosophy or hearing someone else's, some old dead guy's philosophy. I mean, I like doing my own thinking and my own conversating with real people. I mean, obviously those ancient philosophers were real people, but, you know, they're not real to me in the sense that they don't exist in my life in any way, right? So I feel like if there's some sort of group or class around philosophy, it wouldn't really have the focus that I would want it to have, you know? And then the other alternative is, oh, start your own group, start your own club. And it's like, how do you even do that as an adult, you know? Like, what's the... And then, plus, that's a lot of responsibility. I should have been hitting the box for monkeys. That's what I was trying to do earlier. That's not a monkey. Anyway. Yeah, so, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. You know, politics might be hard to get into, especially because it's like, how many young, attractive girls are, like, in politics? Especially not, like, Republican politics. Like, young women tend to be pretty liberal. So, if a young woman's involved in politics at all, she's on the wrong side of it, you know? Certainly not on my side. So, and then, you know, that would be absolutely counterproductive, is trying to meet girls who are into politics but opposite me. That would be extremely counterproductive, because then I'm just intentionally starting relationships that are never going to go anywhere. But yeah, I don't know. Thinking about it, my other interest is, you know, menswear, men's clothing, men's fashion, that sort of stuff, which is also not easy to me, because it's like, what? How do you meet women who are into men's fashion, right? Like, women are into women's fashion, right? So, it's hard. And then, to what degree, like, the only thing that I have on the docket right now, the only, like, actual activity I have that's, like, on the list for things that I think are promising for finding, you know, meeting girls, is there's a trivia night that happens at a local cafe that, a friend of mine told me about, that he was liking to go to, and he wanted to go with some friends as just, like, a fun social activity. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I'll probably go sometime to meet girls. Plus, trivia is something I'm good at. Not super interested necessarily. I've never been, like, explicitly interested in trivia, but I do like knowledge. I like knowledge. I like facts. Right? So, trivia is a good fit for that, I think. But, woo! That's a lot of zombies. Okay, yeah, this map starts to get real sketchy around this point. But, yeah, so... Whee! Yeah, so... Trivia Night is interesting, but, you know, what's funny is that the friend who introduced me to the idea of Trivia Night is actually not going to be there this time. Even though he's been bugging me about it for a while. He wasn't able to do the last one, because he was, ironically, on a date with a girl. He's a guy that does online dating and hookups and stuff, so, like, actually, I think I was talking about him earlier. He's a friend of mine that's, you know, more into that stuff, but he had that going on, so he obviously didn't want to go to Trivia Night, so I didn't go either, because I was like, I'm not going to just pull up alone. It was something that he wanted me to do. But now, this time, he's out of town, he's on a camping trip with his mom, and, you know, there's no possibility he's going to be there, but I'm like, dude, I wanted to go, so I invited another friend of mine, who was like, yeah, that could be fun. So it's like, it'll be one of those things, because it's on Sunday night, and this friend of mine, you know, the second friend I just mentioned, he's someone I met through church, and, him and I go shooting every Sunday after church. Like, that's our thing, right? So it's a Sunday night activity, so I thought it made sense to invite him, because we're already hanging out on Sunday. Might as well just extend that hangout. Sunday night, we'll go out and do some trivia, you know, and he was being, you know, all modest. He's like, I probably won't be that good at trivia, but I'm like, wow, nobody thinks they're that good at trivia until you go and you realize how much smarter than the average person you are, you know? So, anyway, I think that'll be really fun, and this friend of mine and I are gonna have a good time, I think, but, you know, he does have a girlfriend, like, so it will be not like, we're not like out here, well, it means I have less competition, right? I don't have to compete with my friend. It's like, he's my wingman, and he's gonna help me build up that confidence to talk to the girls and not try to pull me. I mean, he's not the type of guy that would try to drag me down anyway. He's like a really good, honest sort of dude that just wants to help his friends, you know? Like, he honestly was one of those guys that I just trust with my life, you know? I trust him with anything. He's just awesome like that. And so, anyway, that's so unfortunate. I wanted to hit that nuke. I was just trying to hit the nuke. That sucks, dude. Well, let's see if I can, let's see if I can clutch up and jug first hit on the Wonder Face. That's the only way I clutch this up, is jug out of the Wonder Face. Damn it up, okay. Okay, this is worthless. Jug, let's freaking go. Yo, Speed Cola, you know what? I might as well take it, because I just got it. So, it's like, who cares? Revive, okay, whatever. Now we're gonna spin the box. need a max ammo is what I need. But anyway, dude, he's a super upstanding guy. I think he's gonna make a great wingman. And that's part of what I really feel like I need is just a good wingman. Like, I think every guy needs a good wingman to just go out with, go do some social activity. Because that's the thing is, it doesn't matter what I'm out doing if I've got a good wingman with me, right? Like, I could be in a place that if I'm alone, I'll feel totally out of place and awkward and yada yada. But if one of my closest friends is with me, hyping me up and wingmanning for me, then like, I'm good. I'm confident. I'm at my best self. It's like the way people describe alcohol, right? Like, when you're drunk or whatever, it's like the social lubricant where you're all, more loosey-goosey and confident and authentic and whatever. People say that. I don't know if it's true, but people say that. And I think that's what having a good wingman is like, where it loosens me up, it puts me at ease when I'm with my best friends, and when I'm just in that mode of being myself, being authentic, and being confident in who I am, that I don't feel that way when I'm not with my good friends. Like, if I'm just alone in a social situation, those insecurities creep in, right? And I feel weird. I'm still just hitting for monkeys, aren't I? Yeah. Man, I won't, dude. I might have to take it just because my HVK is out. I'm just gonna spin. I am gonna just spin for another HVK. Or monkeys. Or both. Spin until I'm out of points. I will spin till I'm out of points. But yeah, what's I saying? This friend of mine, he's awesome, and I'm excited to go out with him and, do this trivia night. I hope that it works out, because I also know that he's a guy who's really bad at scheduling. He tends to be really busy, and he tends to schedule things way too close together and not give himself enough time. So, we'll end up, the last couple times we went shooting on Sunday, he had plans right afterward, and we didn't get to, it felt rushed, and it was, a whole thing. So, I told him ahead of time, I told him a week ahead of time about this trivia night thing, so hopefully that gives him, he even said, he's like, I've got no other plans Sunday, we're chilling, we'll have enough time to shoot and drive around and hang out and do the trivia night, we'll have time for everything, hopefully. The only contingent is what time is the trivia night, which also means I should ask my other friend about that. The guy who told me about the trivia night. I need to actually ask him what time it is. Yo, the full HVK, let's go. I don't know if monkeys are even in this box. Honestly, I'm starting to question it. But yeah, so anyway, I think that'll be a lot of fun this Sunday. And then, yeah, what am I thinking? Yeah, Sunday shooting. I love shooting. It'll be fun. And then I think I'll probably just put together an outfit Sunday morning, a good outfit for church and everything. And then wear that outfit out shooting, and then wear it to trivia night, and just kind of just go all day. Because, when we go shooting, we're not, out trying to just have fun. We're not shooting for the purpose of just the lols. We're training, right? It's about, shooting to get better at shooting and all that stuff. So, I like to try to shoot in close to what I normally would be wearing, right? And normally I like to dress up. And so church clothes is, I think, a good analog for me fully dressed up going shooting. Yeah. Anyway, I'm excited. But you can tell I'm getting pretty tired. It's definitely kind of late. 11:45, yeah. So, that's what happens though, right? It gets late, I get tired, my brain doesn't work as well. I'm still trying to talk. Oh, ray gun, I can't even pick it up. So sad. Actually, I could and just buy the Kuda again because it's a wall gun. This is gonna make hitting the box way faster. Mark II, bro! Holy crap. Crap, I did not mean to shoot that guy. Glad he's arrived. So yeah. My life's pretty good though. You know, the girl thing is obviously just a work in progress. It's funny I got the Kuda again and then traded it again. But it's fine. Ray Gun Mark II again. This box look is crazy. I still haven't got Thunder Gun yet. That's the one I'm waiting on. But yeah, I don't know what other philosophical mumbo jumbo I could talk about. Yeah, so it is what it is. But I think I don't know. I'm in a weird place where I have gotten very used to being alone. I don't really have a problem with being alone. Part of that's like because I'm narcissistic and I just genuinely, I really value myself. I really don't think lowly about myself in general. Like, there are very few people whose company is better than mine, you know? Like, I'm top dog when it comes to, like, company. Like, there's so many people who are just stupid and annoying and, you know, and I'm not like that, you know? I'm pretty awesome. So, I'm used to just being alone and hanging out with myself and then hanging out with my few closest friends every once in a while. That's sort of the way that I'm used to doing things. And so, I'm okay being alone most of the time, but there's a sort of loneliness that really there should be another word for it, you know? Because what I think of when I think of loneliness is not what I'm experiencing, you know? Like, when I think of loneliness, I just think of your regular old garden variety loneliness of, like, I just don't have enough friends, I don't have enough family, I don't have enough people that care about me or whatever, right? And I don't feel that way. I have plenty of people that care about me, I have a lot of good, strong friendships and relationships, and it's good, right? And I get my needs met as far as, like, social interaction and connection goes most of the time. Okay. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Is that I have most of my needs met. I'm about 95% okay with being, you know, being alone with myself and then getting good time to spend with friends too, and I've got a great balance. But I'm just missing that one little component of, like, I don't have a girlfriend, you know? Like, as stupid as that kind of sounds, it's like, there's just a certain, it's its own type of connection that's really unlike anything else, you know? And it's a connection that I've never had before, so it's almost like it makes that longing worse, in the sense that it's like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like, I just, like, part of me just wants to know what it's like, you know? It's like this longing of, like, what is it like to have someone like you, you know? What is it like to be in a relationship where you have that feeling of, like, wow, I'm attracted to you and you're attracted to me? Like, that's really the basis of it. Like, all the rest of the relationship stuff feels so secondhand to me, aside from just knowing what it would be like, you know? of just like, I just want to feel that feeling of that, like that security and that mutual sort of attraction. Like, I've never felt that before. Like, I've had maybe one or two girls that liked me that I absolutely was not interested in. And then I've had a lot of girls that I was very interested in and had no interest in me, right? And so that's just... Okay, Wiggles. That was a little close. That was a little close for comfort there. I am not liking this. Wow, that was really close. I forget this gun is not nearly as powerful without double tap. Gotta remember to get those headshots. Ooh. A little bit sketchy, if you ask me, I would say. A little sketchy. Yeah, so, anyway, that's what I was saying is, like, the relationship thing, I would love to be in one just to know what it's like, to have that, yeah, that mutual attraction, that romance, and that, also that building of that connection, of just learning more about someone, and teaching them about me, like, here's who I am, who are you, you know? And that discovery, that uncovering, and that growing closer to each other, just that whole process just sounds so nice to me, you know? It sounds so pleasant, and, so enjoyable, and, you know, the early stage of a relationship, right? That's the part everyone talks about. It's always the fun part that everyone enjoys, right? Holy crap, I almost died from a headless zombie. So, that's what I want, is to just experience those good things people say about relationships. Of course, you know, the bad things will come. Like, that's always going to be part of it. There's always the downside, right? And I'm okay with that. But I just want to have it, you know, because I see my friends, you know, I had a friend go through a pretty bad breakup recently, after like a 2-year-long relationship, right? And, you know, seeing him go through that, I was still like, hey man, I know it sucks right now, but it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all, right? Like, some people debate that, like, is that true? And he definitely was. He was like, I don't know, man, I don't know. And I'm like, dude, I do know. You know? Like, as someone who has never really loved at all, I can say that, like, conclusively. I've seen what that pain looks like on him, and it's still, like, I would take that. I would absolutely take what he's been through in order to get what he got out of it, you know? And that's, I don't know. It's a hard thing to say to his face, because, you know, his response is like, well, you don't know what I've gone through, you don't know how hard it's been, you know? And to an extent, that's true. I don't know what it's like, because I haven't been through it. That's the thing, is that I've seen how it affected him, and I've seen a lot of the results of that, and I'm still able to look at that and just go, yeah, I'd take that. Like, I would go through that just in order to have all that good stuff. And it's easier because the good stuff comes first, right? I'm dead. That's dead. Okay, well, I think that is pretty much it for me. This thing doesn't even one-shot? Oh yeah, that's wrap, dude. That's a wrap. I don't have a useful gobblegum right now either. Oh no, that turns off my specialist? Oh, it's so over. It is so over. Oh my gosh! What is going on? What does that drop, dude? What is that? Oh, yeah. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay, this one needs to be Jug. Crap. This is last stand, bro. If I go down again, it's over. Give me Jug, give me Jug, give me Jug. No, dude, I need Jug. I actually can't play without Jug. Like, it's gonna be so over if I don't get this Jug. Okay, let me spin one more time. Please, 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 please be Jug. It's not Jug. No, it went... Oh, dude. It's so over. It's so over. Bro, please. Please, give me Jug. Please. Okay, quick revive. This is my last shot. No, 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 no. Okay, I got it, I got it, I got it. I don't know what my thing was, but... Okay, bro, this is no Jug. Insane. Actually crazy. Round 24 with no Jug is just... Like, what is this, Nuketown? Dang. What is this, Bus Depot? No, there's no way I get to round 24 on Bus Depot. It just isn't gonna happen. Oh my goodness. I shouldn't have ended the round earlier. But I was panicking. I was like, there's no way that's the last guy. And he totally was. Okay, the double tap's really nice. Having double tap speed cola and stamina up is all really nice. And I still have another quick revive, so it's not over if I go down. It's just difficult again. Spend a whole mag on, oh, I don't have Jug, bro. I can't be playing like that. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's so over. Yo, 9,000 for a Gobblegum is insane, but honestly, dude... Oh, anywhere over here. Okay, worth. Massively worth it. Okay. Oh, this is crazy. I need to just spin box a couple of times, see if I get something nice. Oh, this is not something nice. This is also not, bruh, is it just gonna be nothing but garbage? Okay, that's something nice. That is something nice, but we're gonna just roll again to see if we can get another HVK. Is that it? Oh, it's a Brookie, dude. Brucci. Okay, we'll take it. Take it just because Kuda I can always rebuy off the wall. Vesper, no, I'm good, I'm good. Okay, so I don't know what I was talking about earlier. I was talking about being lonely, bro. That's such a crazy. Yeah, my ramblings and rantings is just like is just crazy. Like I'm just talking about whatever. But yeah, I just want to be in a relationship for that reason. Like if I get one good little decent run there, I'll probably be happy for a while and just be like, okay, that's cool. I did it just to say that I did it. Like, and that's kind of a sad place to be, is like getting a relationship just to say that you got in a relationship. But I mean, it's not just to say it, but it's like just to have had done it, you know? Just to, oh my goodness. Thundergun, you can't say no to the Thundergun. It's just, you can't say no to it. I got my Kuda, which is mad weak. And then we spin to see if we get something good. Nope, it's blue. We ain't taking that. Round 25 no jug is actually insane. Yeah, I'm actually getting a 1911 next week. And I'm gonna... I know, like, there's probably a negative stereotype about dudes who name their guns, but for this, like, I've never named any of my other guns before, but, like, for this one, she's special, and we're gonna name her Sally after the Mustang and Sally from Call of Duty, because it's classic. Because I feel like Mustang would be a little bit much, because it's not a nice, like, it's not a super expensive, nice 1911, it's... Oh, crap. Okay, no, I was thinking too much about the gun and not enough about surviving the game. I didn't realize Thundergun gets drops. That's news to me. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so, no, you know what, let's not focus on that. Let's focus on surviving, dude. Round 25 is no small feat with the game that I'm having. Like, okay, exactly. You want to hit this. Yeah. Definitely want to hit that nuke. And then, I can't even afford to pay for a gobble gum. Never mind, bro. I really thought I was doing something up here. Yeah, I'm just gonna try to keep power leveling the Kuda as much as I can. And then when I get surrounded, I'll just use Thundergun for save my butt. Oh! Nah, bro. Nah. Blue. Nah, bro. Okay, I'll tell you one thing about shooting. You know, a lot of guys who don't know jack about guns but play a lot of first-person shooter video games have this like weird misconception, like, man, well, I'm good at first-person shooters. I might be, I'd probably be pretty good at shooting if I tried. I mean, not everyone, but there's definitely some guys who have a little bit of that idea. Like my friend joked to me about that, and he was joking, but much truth is said in jest. So there's that little misconception, and there is actually a sliver of truth to that idea, is that there is one, in my experience, there's one skill from video games, like video game first-person shooters, that transfers over to real-life guns, and it only transfers a little bit. It's not like a huge thing, but it's your trigger finger. Is that if you get really good at spamming trigger finger for like semi-auto guns in video games, then that is gonna transfer. Watch, bro. Okay. We're good. We are so good. Oh, man. Crap. Send me somewhere good. I'm downstairs. It's so over. Yeah. 26, though? Okay, 26 is actually impressive. 26 is impressive for what I just did. The fact that I basically wasn't playing seriously and I was like monologuing most of the game, that's pretty good. I had to lock in at the end there to try to clutch it up with no joke, but nah, it's cool. I mean, I could have been more strategic, could have done better, could have made it farther, but frankly, like, that's pretty good. In fact, I want to compare that against my my best on that map real quick, because I don't remember what it is. My best on Noct is 27. That was one round under my highest ever on Noct, and I was barely trying. That's crazy. Maybe trying is the problem. Maybe I shouldn't be trying. Either way, a good game, some good talks, but it's getting a little late, and I think it would be smart for me to call it a night, because I'm just... I'm just tired. Okay. On the house is pretty good. I do like that. Got my daily challenge. Let's upgrade these weapon kits real quick. Got the bow at 3, but nothing beats the ELO in my opinion for zombies. Rapid fire, good. We definitely are not at fast mags level yet, but we'll get there. And then, ooh, HVK I got. Oh, it's just an optic. Yeah, ELO is the one we're going to stick with. Last thing we need to get is the fast mags level 14. And the weapon slot, I assume, comes around that time too. But, alright. I didn't even have my best classic Gobblegums on there. Not to mention Megas. Like, gosh, imagine how high I could get on Noct with Megas. That would be crazy. What's the promo? Oh, it's just half off everything. I don't need to spend any real money on this. Okay, I'm going to test one thing while we are in this game. While we're in this broadcast, which is I think I've tested it before, but I don't remember the outcome. If I switch games, will it end the broadcast? Will it end the stream if I try to switch to Minecraft? And I'll have to start the stream up again. Or, here's what'll happen. Alright? I'm going to switch to Minecraft, and if it ends the stream, then I'm done streaming for the night. But if it doesn't end the stream, I'll probably stream for a little bit longer playing Minecraft. That's like our coin toss here. Alright, so if it ends it, good night, everybody. I will, everybody, as if someone's going to watch this. But, you know, on the off chance that somebody finds this someday, good night to you. And if it is Minecraft, then we will continue.